The Riverlands, or Kingdom of River and Hills, are perhaps the saddest and most blood-drenched land of the Seven Kingdoms. It has seen enslavement and bloody battles, horrible leaders and treachery, many petty kings and royal houses. So let's talk the history of the Riverlands. The land was gentle enough, rolling hills and terraced fields interspersed with meadows and woodlands, and little valleys where willows crowded close to slow, shallow streams. Here farmland gave way to forests. The villagers and holdfasts were smaller and further apart, the hills higher and the valleys deeper. Arya Stark. So let's talk the Riverlands. Those that live in the Riverlands are known as Rivermen or Riverlanders, and bastards of this region take the last name Rivers. The Riverlands, named for the numerous rivers that run through the territory, border on every realm but Dorne and the Aran Islands. It goes from the neck to the banks of the Black Water, and east to borders of the Vale with endless rivers, numerous hills and forests and plains, though there are few natural boundaries, making it difficult to defend and easy to attack. The land of this realm is incredibly fertile thanks to the river Trident. This river makes the Riverlands ripe for farming, conquest, and settlement. There are 3 branches to the Trident. The Red Fork is covered by mud that comes down from the Western Mountains. It runs from the Western Mountains to River Run, where it connects with Tumblestone and then runs east. The Green Fork's mossy waters come from the swamps of the Neck. It runs from the south of the Neck and is next to the King's Road. The Blue Fork water is so pure it sparkles and flows southeast from Seaguard. These wide waters allow for swift travel and trade, and also fast movement of ships during time of war. During times of peace, it was common to see Riverlanders on their skiffs and grain barges pulling down the rivers. Even merchant ships would cruise on the rivers. Other rivermen would sell to the ships in order for it to be carried to a different realm. This includes wine made of the small tart grapes that grow in the Riverlands. The 3 forks come together to form the Trident, and here it flows into the Bay of Crabs. Besides the Trident, there are 2 main other rivers, Blackwater Rush in the north of the realm, and a river that goes from the God's Eye. Besides rivers, the Riverlands have some important roadways. The River Road runs from the Westerlands to River Run, continuing on to the crossroads where it meets the King's Road, one of the most important roads in Westeros. Despite being such a fertile, ideal location, there are no cities in the Riverlands. The Maesters believe this is due to the overwhelming number of petty kings and royal houses the Riverlands had over the years that didn't want towns to expand. So let's transition to the people of the Riverlands. This territory was first settled by the Children of the Forest. When the first men came via the Arm of Dorne, eventually they traveled northward and landed in the Riverlands. At first, there was much conflict between the first men and the Children of the Forest until they signed the peace pact on the God's Eye. From there, the Children of the Forest retreated to their forests, and the Green Men stayed on the God's Eye, guarding the God's Woods. The first men were free to create their homes in the Riverlands. This led to first men battling continuously, and the rise and fall of countless petty kingdoms came about. The names of these petty kings are mostly lost to history, with a few remaining in song or on a stone tablet. The names known: Shara the Witch Queen, the Green King of the God's Eye, Nine-Finger Jack, Florian the Fool, and Ardos the Strong could be myth or real. But speaking of real, the real history of the Riverlands begins with the Andal's invasion. Crossing the narrow sea in their long ships, the Andals made their way west, utilizing the rivers to attack in bands led by chieftains. Everywhere they went, the 7-pointed star went, on their flesh, clothing, shields, banner, anywhere they could put it. The Andals considered the old gods and the weirwood trees to be little more than demons. This led them to setting the trees on fire and chopping off the faces on them. While there aren't concrete histories of the Andal invasions, there are songs that talk about their battles. We hear of the fall of Maidenpool, which led to the death of their boy king Florian the Brave, 5th of his name. The Widow's Ford, where Lord Darry's 3 sons held back the warlord Vorian Viprin for a day and night, killing hundreds before the 3 sons perished. Then there's a battle the Children of the Forest supposedly fought in, called the Night of the White Wood. In it, Children of the Forest sent hundreds of wolves against the Andal camp, tearing hundreds of men apart. Lastly, we hear of the Battle of the Bitter River. This saw enemies House Bracken and House Blackwood work together. However, they were destroyed when a charge of 777 Andal knights and 7 Septons happened. Another great battle happened at High Heart, a hill with a grove of weirwoods that was sacred to both the Children of the Forest and First Men. When an Andal king, Eric the Kingslayer, surrounded the hill. The children of the forest sent ravens and wolves to attack. However, none of it was enough to stop the Andals, and soon corpses half again as high as the hill were stacked, and in the end, the grove was destroyed and only stumps remain in modern times. One of the greatest battles happened between the Andals and House Mud, who called old stones their home. Christopher IV of House Mud, nicknamed the Hammer of Justice, fought 100 battles against the Andals. He won 99 of them, but lost in the end when there were 7 Andal kings that united against him. Sadly, even though House Mud was able to unite the most Riverlanders against the Andals, the Hammer of Justice's son, Christopher IV, or Christopher the Last, was unable to hold the Andals back. Andal kings took down Christopher the Last and his home's castle, but also intermarried with the remaining nobility to bond the first men and Andals together. Any who wouldn't bend the knee to the Andals was killed. With the last king of the first men dead, the Andals divvied up the land, which of course led to infighting among the Andals, who all considered themselves king of the rivers and hills or king of the Trident. Centuries of warring would pass between them. So in part 2, I'll talk about the Riverlands under Andal rule.